Welcome to Alternative Dog Moms Podcast. I'm Kimberly Gauthier, the creator of Keep the Tail Wagging. For the past 9 years, I've been blogging about raw feeding, pet wellness, and life as a crazy dog mom. I've seen massive improvements in my dog's health since I started raising my dogs naturally, and I'm passionate about sharing my experience to help other pet parents.
I'm Erin Scott. For the past 9 years, I've been researching and learning everything I can about healing cancer, allergies, autoimmune, and mystery illnesses in both my dogs and myself. And I can't wait to share with you everything I've learned on this journey. As the Alternative Dog Moms, we're bringing you all the latest dog health news that we're following and sharing the tips, tricks, and resources we learn along the way. Now, let's get started. Hello, Kimberly.
Hello, Erin.
How are you today?
I'm exhausted. I'm sleepy. I'm so sleepy. It's 2:00 in the afternoon where I am, and all I want to do is go and crawl on the bed, pull like a little cover over me, and sleep for 5 hours and call it a nap. But I can't. I've been making dog treats. Today is day 2, and I have 5 containers of dog treats. The first container was a bust. I mean, they made pretty pictures and the dogs enjoyed them, but I made them in the oven because I was trying to see, what would be better, dehydrating or making them in the oven. For me, it's dehydrating all the way. Making them in the oven was so much work only because I had to do so much cleaning afterwards. And I was just like scrubbing pans, and thank God I have so many different pans. It was faster because every batch took 25 minutes, but it was not worth it. Whereas with the jerky, I fill up an entire dehydrator at night, set it for 9 hours, wake up in the morning, and I have jerky treats. And so those filled up I went and got, I think they're 6-cup containers, maybe. I don't remember. But I filled up 6 containers filled with treats. And now I put them into little balls, and then I roll them out flat and cut into strips. And I think I have 8 balls. Yeah, 8 balls of all varying ingredients that I throw in there. I have no idea, no rhyme or reason to what I'm doing. I just do it. And so I was about to come on, and I was like, oh, it's almost 2:00. Let me go get ready. And I'm in here setting up my computer, and I just left 8 balls of raw meat on my counter. Yeah. One of my dogs doesn't respect that. The other doesn't bother it. But Apollo is like, oh, thank God she left me a meal. I had to go and put my rubber gloves back on and put them all into a bowl and put them in the fridge and get everything cleared up and then come back. But so basically I'm tired. But I feel like, I feel like I've accomplished something. Not as much as I wanted to this weekend, but I accomplished something.
Well, I feel like everything I've done today has either been dog related or podcast related or both.
That's my life. I mean, after I finish these treats, I have to edit a podcast episode. I'm working on an article about Solutions Pet Food that's taken me a lot longer than I expected because I asked for information, and boy, did they deliver.
Is this about the labeling?
Yeah. And I'm not actually, the article's not going to be about the labeling. I'm actually just writing a review, and I'm going to do a series of just detailed reviews. First, I was just going to do a series of reviews on dog foods that I've tried and what I like about them. But Solutions has set the bar so high that it will either do this review and never review another dog food again for the rest of my life, or it's going to take me like weeks to complete each review because, I mean, gosh, the amount of information they give you and what they're doing. I mean, oh my gosh, you read about all the stuff that they're doing, even though I knew this stuff, but reading about it and really like being reminded of the ingredients and their philosophy and how nutrient rich the food is. You're just like, well, why didn't I just feed this?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, wow. If I had one dog, that is what I'd be feeding. And my dogs they were eating Solutions a little bit this past week. So, because I always keep a case on hand.
Yeah. I'm hoping to be able to get the patties. They're supposed to have patties coming out soon. So I haven't seen them at my store yet, but I'm hoping that we'll be able to get them soon, because I would probably do that with Nessie at least.
Yeah.
Neno's on like a whole special diet still, but
I think we have the patties at my store, but I usually just do the tubes because they fit in my freezer better. And so that's what works for us. And since I don't feed it all the time, it's more of a few days every couple months, or, maybe, well, actually like once a month, they'll get like a few days of solutions and then a few days where solutions is part of a meal. But first of all, I compared how much solutions I feed to my dogs versus how much of my food I feed to my dogs, or any other food I feed to my dogs. And oh my gosh, because like, for example, if I can remember correctly, Zoe eats 9 ounces per meal. Of solutions, it's more like 5 ounces per meal, almost 50%.
Yeah.
And it's like so amazing just how little, everything is there. What's even better is that, even though I like to add different things to the meal, like, duck feed and, egg, and, technically I don't have to. So it's not like it's as expensive because I don't have to buy all this extra stuff. And I don't feel like I have to add any supplementation to it either, because it's just doing what it needs to do. My dogs do very well on it. It's the only chicken they can eat without eating it. So.
Yeah, I think with Nessie, like right now she's getting 1 8-ounce patty per meal of the food that I've been having her on. And I think with solutions, she would need like 1 8-ounce patty a day. Like I could just cut them in half.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, just because of the nutrient density.
And someone told me this a while, like probably sometime last year, or maybe even the year before. Someone told me that about solutions.
It was Chelsea on our podcast.
Well, yeah, but someone even before then said, it's super nutrient dense. But one thing they did not say, they didn't provide that comparison. And even hearing it, I bet people would really just need to do it.
Yeah.
Me sitting down doing it and actually seeing, whoa, this is hardly anything.
Yeah.
Because I was adding too much. Whenever I would make it as like a side dish, I was feeding way too much. It was like I was basically feeding a full meal plus my meal without realizing it.
Right.
Thankfully, I wasn't doing that all the time because they just don't need that much. So that's lovely. I'm not looking forward to the next review because I don't know how forthcoming everyone's going to be with the information they share. And it's not that people aren't. It's just that Chelsea has so much. It's just so much information that it's just opened my eyes. So we'll see. I'm having fun with it. I'm spending like an hour each evening working on it, and hopefully it'll be done by the middle of next week. I was hoping it would be done last week, but maybe middle of next week. We'll see.
Well, Nessie and I had quite an adventure today.
Ooh.
So yesterday we had a horrible storm come through. If we were a little bit further north, like I saw Billy, they had snow.
Yeah, I saw.
And we were in the rain, like the sleet and rain part of that same storm. Mm-hmm. So it was just like horrible and raining and disgusting here all day yesterday. Like I barely even left the sofa. Nessie barely even left the sofa. Even she didn't want to go outside or do anything. And Neno had a poop in the house kind of night because he wasn't going outside. So today we at least had sun. It was a little bit windier than like I would prefer to when I'm outside walking, but I was like, I got to get her out, moving because we didn't do anything yesterday. And I knew it was like probably going to be like kind of muddy because it was, raining yesterday. But I was like, we're going to do our long walk, and it goes up near these fields. And I was like, sometimes it gets a little muddy there anyway, but I was like, I'm going to put my big boots on and it'll be fine. And she has her coat on. Oh my God. We got so incredibly covered in mud. Like her whole coat was muddy. Like the backs of my pant legs were muddy just from it like slopping up, as you're traipsing through. But we had a really good walk and a really good adventure. We actually trimmed her back nails, the nails on her back feet today. We did not get to do, she's very touchy about the front feet. So I think we got one done, and then we're like, yep, we're just going to call it a day.
Call it a win.
Yeah. That was, I was like, Tim, cause he's like all frustrated. Like, how are we ever going to get this done? I'm like, it literally might just be one a day, and, yeah, it might just be that kind of day. And then I had all this laundry to do because I had to wash her coat, and we had all these muddy dog towels from yesterday with all their feet being so muddy. So since I have traumatized her with wiping her feet with the towel, I basically just have to like cover our whole dining room in towels and let her just kind of walk it off.
I swear, the things we do for our dogs is ridiculous.
And then I had to like get her muddy coat off after our walk, and then I can take a washcloth and I get it all warm water, and I can like kind of get the mud off of her that way. Anyway, it's been a whole day of dog related adventures.
Hey, quick question for you. Are you someone who wants to be fit, healthy, and happy? And what if I told you could get your dream body by simply just listening to a podcast? I'm Josh.
And I'm KG, and we're the hosts of the Fit, Healthy, and Happy podcast.
Listen, we get it. Fitness isn't easy. Carbs, no carbs.
Just stop, okay? It doesn't have to be that complicated. And that's why we made this podcast. We get straight to the facts so you can become your best you.
So the way to check us out is click the link in the show notes or search Fit, Healthy, and Happy podcast on any of the major podcast platforms. We'll see you soon.
Well, yesterday when I was because we had strange weather yesterday. There were moments of sunshine, moments of just intense rain. We had hail. So we didn't go for our walk. We just, I live on 5 acres, so I will not complain about missing a walk because we could just walk around the property. I'm having an issue with Apollo wanting to greet people. So we're working on that. And so Apollo now has to go out on lead. Except for this, today we did it, and I took the first batch of oven treats out, and instead of feeding them breakfast, that's what they had for breakfast. And he did really good. He wanted to run off, but I caught him. There's this timing point where I can catch him at a certain point. He will listen, but if he's like in prey mode,
aroused,
yeah, exactly, that's what it is. He's gone. And so I was able to get him. And then he was just like, oh, yeah, that's right. We're eating too. And so it worked out really well. But since we didn't get, we just went out a few times to run around the yard, I decided to try. I've seen videos of people putting treats in towels and rolling them up. And I decided to give that a try because I was just like, okay. So I took out 3 towels, and I'm going to post about this. But it was so much fun. I grabbed 5 different bags of treats, some from Northwest Naturals, some from a brand called, I think it's Wolf, some from Real Dog Box. And I think those are the 3 brands that I grabbed. Oh no, and Vital Essentials. And I just basically sprinkled, and I locked 2 of the dogs out of the room, Bella and Apollo. Zoe, who is my angel dog, she is absolute perfection. And I knew she was like interested, and she wanted to sniff, and I just said no. And so she just stood there watching, like, okay, well, I'm not allowed to sniff it, but I'll get close so I can at least get a whoop. And I just sprinkled it out, and I rolled each towel a little differently. And then I let the dogs in, and I set towels just apart from each other so they can do their towels. And it was brilliant. I mean, to the person why buy a snuffle mat? This thing was brilliant. It took way long. I mean, the snuffle mat takes a bit of time. This took a while just for it to be rolled. I was thinking, no, my dogs are going to unroll this and eat all the treats, and it's going to take 5 minutes. No,
wow.
20 minutes of them sniffing because they didn't catch on. And maybe the next time they'll figure it out. So I'll have to roll it differently each time. But it was like really kind of cool. So now I'm going to go and see if some brilliant blogger out there has written an article about the different variations of rolling a towel.
Yes, I want to see this because maybe this is how I can get Nessie to not be afraid of towels anymore.
Yes, it was so amazing. It was like, and there was no picking up the towel and shaking it out. I thought at least Apollo would do that. But and it was so funny because like with Bella, she didn't get that there were more treats. I mean, she smelled them, but since she didn't see them, she was just like, okay, I'm done. And I'm like, no, you just unrolled it once. And so I didn't do anything. I didn't help her. I just waited. And she eventually went back and she saw like a corner of a little treat. And so she found it. And then she got the idea to roll it. Save Apollo. He picked up on it. He and Zoe picked up on it pretty quickly, but still it took a while. What the funniest part, and I wish I would have got this on camera, was, says Apollo was in the kitchen. Bella was in the dining room. Zoe was in the living room. Apollo picked up after he was finished, because eventually he just laid down and was just going through his towel as he laid down. And then when he was finished, he picked up his towel and he walked into the dining room. And he and Bella like worked together to investigate the towels. And eventually someone brought Zoe's towel into the dining room. So when they were done, and so this is like now 30 minutes later, I come into the dining room. The towels are all in the nice little pile for me, completely clean. And I threw them in the laundry and that was it. And it was just like, this is brilliant. And I'm not going to do it every day. And because I did put a lot of treats on the towels. So they had a very small dinner, comparatively. But, I think that, one thing that I learned last week was Northwest Naturals is going to start coming out with these more like bulk size bags. They already have large bags of like the freeze-dried liver, but I don't actually like to give my dogs liver treats because I worry about the copper.
Yeah.
Since it's also in their diet. So they're going to start coming out, I think, even big bags of the green lip mussels, which I'm curious to know how much that's going to cost.
I buy their green lip mussels.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah. And so, but I also buy like they have, and I need to reach out to them and maybe I can make a request, but they have like the shrimp. And so that's one thing that I bought. And I usually buy these type of treats at a local pet store once a month. And I basically allow myself 3 or 4 bags and they're on sale for 20% off. And that's all I'll get. But, with that or with Real Dog Box with their secret shop, getting the different types of treats. I think the only thing about Real Dog Box that I didn't like about the snuffle mats is some of the treats were bigger. So I had to break them up. And so, when you have dogs waiting for you to finish the snuffle mat, even if you put them out of the room, they know what you're doing and they're getting impatient and stuff. But with the towel, I didn't have to worry about that. I just spread it out and sprinkled it. I didn't care what size it was. But it was a lot of fun. And it gave me just a break to do other stuff. And I knew that they were occupied and they were fine. And yeah, it worked out really well.
Yeah, because this dog, this Nessie, she's going to need all that kind of stuff, Yeah.
And they were so like chill afterwards. And I just got a message from William. May I just share what he did if you haven't seen it already?
Who is this?
William Hookman of Green Juju. I am so disappointed because I thought we were friends. I thought we were really good friends. And I'm going to play this. I'm going to put this on loud and hopefully it comes through. But it is in my highlights. If you look under dog humor on my highlights on Instagram, you'll see it. I thought it was cruel. And I don't understand why he can't let this go. This is what he did.
Maple, what don't we give Huckleberry? Wow. Good job.
So I felt that was selfish and mean.
Does everybody know that story?
And for folks who do not know the story, 100 years ago, I was in California, and it was when pre-Maple, when Billy and Emily, his wife, lived in California, and a group of us went to their place for dinner. And, Lua, his beautiful love dog, she was such a sweetie and such a famous dog.
Yeah.
And when Lua crawled into my lap to cuddle next to me and cuddle with me, I felt so special because I am that person that needs all the dogs to love me. And Lua was giving me little eyes, and I was eating some homemade bread. And when you're eating with Billy, you're eating the best food and the best ingredients on. This is not Wonder Bread, folks. This is like bread from the gods type of thing that you're eating. It's, I don't even know what to call it. But so I'm eating this delicious bread, and Lua's looking at me and looking at the bread, looking at me and looking at the bread. So I'm like, of course you can have a little piece of the bread, Lua. And so I give Lua a piece of the bread. And in half a click, I hear, "You did not just give my dog bread." And I'm just like, she said she could have some.
I just love that story.
And from then, we have gone back and forth about this. This has been years. I think that was like 2018, maybe. So it's been 5 years. And not long ago, beautiful little Maple gave Huckleberry some bread. And I was just like, my girl. But apparently he's trying to teach her not to give Huckleberry, the nectar of the gods.
That cracks me up.
So the feud continues, folks. So I will, I have his address, I'm pretty sure, somewhere, and I will go buy a big old roll of Seattle's sourdough bread and ship it off to him and mark, for Huckleberry. So yeah. Oh, but we got a note and I want to read it.
Yes, this was so lovely.
It was so nice. It's from Hannah. I think her name is Heinzer. I'm horrible at pronouncing names. And Hannah is I think she's a vet tech.
Yeah, in Massachusetts.
And I want to make sure I get the clinic right. Is Leominster Animal Hospital with Dr. Robert Fetchia. And I apologize if I'm butchering all of this, but this is in Leominster, Massachusetts. And I woke up to this message and it just made my day. Immediately forwarded to, I didn't even finish it before I forwarded it to Erin because I'm like, oh my gosh. But this is just an example of how all of us, no matter what we're doing, we can have such a huge impact. So she says, "Hi, Kimberly. I just wanted to take time and reach out and let you know how much you have impacted my life recently. I have been raw feeding my dogs for about 6 years now, and I have always been so passionate about raw feeding. I am a vet tech, and as you know, raw feeding is not always so accepted in the veterinary community, but I have never been quiet about what I feed and the benefits. I found your podcast with Erin in July of 2023, and it honestly changed everything for me. I started listening to your podcast every day in the car. I started changing things I do with my dogs, like adding in a fast day. One of your podcasts, you were talking about how amazing the Feed Real course was, so I decided to take it. This changed everything for me. I went and told my doctor about everything I learned, and he wanted to learn more." And that one just gives me chills.
Yes.
That is just amazing. "We started listening to your podcast during surgeries, and now him and I are working on nutrition consults with patients with allergies, health problems, and just teaching people about the benefits of raw, fresh food. I work at a very conventional corporate vet hospital, by the way. I had Animal Biome come and talk to the staff about the benefits of the gut microbiome. I now have Billy Hookman," that was me growling if you couldn't help, "Zoom calling in this month to talk to the staff about Green Juju products and the benefits of raw milk. And I am having Adored Beasts come and talk about their products. I feel like this is just the tip of the iceberg, and I can't thank you enough for all that you have taught and inspired me to do. Wishing you and your four-legged children all the best, Hannah." So for those of you guys who don't think you can make a difference, you can make a difference. All it takes is us sharing what we're doing. I mean, when Erin and I started this podcast, Erin was the experienced one. I had no idea what I was doing.
What?
I had a podcast with my other friend, but I was just sort of like, we were just doing it for fun during the pandemic type of thing. And we enjoy it. So we keep doing it. I remember posting on Instagram that I wish there was a podcast where we got to be nerdy about what we're doing. And Erin was like, "I'll do that with you." I didn't know Erin from Adam. I knew Believe in Dog, but
you had been on. Yeah, you had been on in the early days.
But I didn't know this person. And I was just like, okay. And we got along and we started discovering. I mean, I think the best thing was when we realized how much we both love organization. and we like this love of, and remember the Container Store? and reaching out to you and saying, hey, there's allegedly this study, but I can't find it. And like 15 minutes later, I have a copy of it in my email. And, and it's been such a fabulous, friendship that I didn't expect to get. And I'm so appreciative of. And the fact that, I look forward to sitting down and talking to you, even though remember in the beginning, I could not get our dates down right. I would get text message going, hey, were you recording today? And I'm like, oh shit, I'm like at the grocery store or something. I'm on my way. But yeah, it's just like, it's been this really great friendship, and you just never know who you're going to meet, who you're going to connect with. And then through that, who else you're going to impact. Because it's like me connecting with Erin, and through this podcast, someone listens to it and then tells her boss about it. And then now they've added all of this educational material to their clinic and they're impacting their clients. I mean, it's absolutely beyond anything that I could have wished for.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope, that I can make an impact, but mostly, what I do is for complete selfish reasons. It's because I so love my dogs and I want to learn. And for some reason, I thought all of this, and it has worked, that this was a great way to learn, and it has worked because it's given me access to people that I would never normally have access to, only to find that a lot of these people we meet are pretty darn cool. I mean, Angela Ardolino, I cannot say enough good things about this person.
She's so much fun and so brilliant.
I know, exactly. And she loves what she does. I mean, you listen to her speak and you can feel
the passion.
Yeah, with Billy Hookman is the same way. I can't stop saying enough good things about Amy Renz. Talking to Dr. Barbara Royal, Dr. Ruth
Roberts.
Thank you. Talking to, Holly Gans from Animal Biome, Julianne Lee from Adored Beast. I mean, there are all these, Dr. Rob from Real Mushrooms, all of these people who are so absolutely brilliant. And they are so willing to sit down and share their information. And they're so down to earth. And, they don't talk over you. They don't talk down to you. They don't judge you. They're just here because they are so completely passionate about what they do, and they love sharing it with other people. And it's crazy to me that, we get to talk to these people. I mean, even through your podcast, you have introduced all of us to so many different people that I would never have even considered,
I have one coming up that I'm super excited about on Believe in Dog, by the way.
Which is?
So if anybody, I usually see it in regards to the rescue community, but if you've ever seen that thing that's like the 3-3-3 rule for introducing a new dog to your house, like give them like 3 days to decompress and 3 weeks to get on your schedule and 3 months to feel like home. I have the woman who like popularized that.
Wow.
Yes. Coming in to talk about how to introduce a new dog to your home. Yeah.
Oh, that's so perfect too. And it's so perfect for you. That is so amazing. It's so funny because I think about that a lot. And, these dogs, they come with it. They don't know who we are.
Right.
I don't think I ever told you, but when I, quote unquote, fostered, I'm doing air quotes, Bella, when I was bringing her home, I grabbed her and immediately went to the pet store to get her some little toys. And, which of course I didn't need to, but it's me. She tried to jump out. Thank God I had a leash on her. She tried to jump out the cart. And I'm just like, she doesn't know who I am. And I just took her. And she doesn't know where she's going. She doesn't know what she's doing. And I remember the first night, because right now she sleeps next to me. And when I say next to me, I mean next. She is like right next to me. She makes sure that some part of her body is touching me all night. But the first few nights that she slept with, like the first actually few weeks that she slept with, that she lived with us, she slept on a bed, and she worked her way. And it's so crazy now that she, even now she'll like be like a little upset because sometimes Apollo will come and sleep where she usually sleeps. And she just doesn't know how to deal with that because she's like, trying to figure out how is she going to get next to me. And I have to adjust how I'm sleeping so she can find, and she will, if I make a hole for her, she'll jump right into it, curl up. And as long as she's touching me, and it's crazy. I don't remember exactly how long it took, but I think it took about 3 months before, it took, I think 3 days. It was just sort of like, she doesn't know what she's doing. Within 3 weeks, she was a little more comfortable, but it took 3 months for her to really be like, yeah, this is where I am.
Yeah.
And, it's so true, but I think we're so excited to get a dog, and we're thinking about what life is going to be like with the dog that we forget that they have an adjustment period too.
And it's stressful. On them and on us.
Yeah.
To have this new routine.
Exciting. I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, I was super nerding out about that.
Of course you are. Oh, I'm so excited about that one. So anything else going on?
Other than just trying to get the mud out of everywhere now. It was a good adventure though.
Yeah, I bet it was. Well, one thing I noticed is that I've been writing a lot or posting a lot about saving money. And for the past year, I've sort of just said, yeah, I spend about $250 on average on raw feeding for 4 big dogs. And, this is prior to losing Rodrigo. When I was doing that, I didn't count supplements because I thought not everyone's going to use the same supplements I use. Plus Rodrigo had EPI and his supplement cost a lot of money per month. And I also didn't count like dog treats or the Real Dog Box subscription. It was just straight, this is what I paid for food. I didn't count what I bought at Jules Animal House, which has the monthly Wild Wednesday, because I considered that a business expense and I was going to do reviews on the thing because I would pick up like, oh, this is new. So it wasn't really, and I just didn't think about it. It wasn't a real fair quote. And then someone left a comment just a week or so ago. I can't remember the person's name, and I wish I did because it really got me thinking. And but she said, you know what? The math isn't mathing. And she made some assumptions about how much I was spending that weren't accurate. But she was right. It was sort of like I couldn't let it go, not because I was mad or anything, but because I was just like, yeah, she's right. No, I don't spend $900 a month on raw, which was her calculations. But, she's right. That is a lot. $250 a month. Maybe that isn't exactly right. And I'm like scrolling through my phone to see if I can find it really quickly, but I can't. So actually, I think I can, because I just want to give her a shout out as a thank you. Shannon Lowe. So Shannon Lowe, thank you so much because you really got my brain working. And so I sat down and did the math, and I came to about $325 a month for these dogs. And that does include the Real Dog Box subscription. It does include, not everything that I buy at Jules Animal House, because I buy like my cat's food there, but the few things that I get for my dogs. And then what else? The food, the treats, the Real Dog Box.
The supplements, yes. And then like extra things like when I go to not Costco, but Walmart to get like the canned oysters, the ethnic store to get, canned fish, just the different things that I get, at the outlets grocery store. It basically covers everything. I went through everything. So it's on average $325 a month. There are months where I hardly spend anything. I may spend $50. Oh, it doesn't include dog toys, but those are but I do go crazy. We do have quite the dinosaur collection in this house. But yeah, and it doesn't include those things. Doesn't include pet insurance, doesn't include vet appointments. So it's just $325 to feed my dogs. And I was, it was kind of cool to break that down to figure out how much I'm spending. What was astounding was
there's one person that said they spend twice that on 2 dogs. But the reason why is because everything they buy is organic. And I don't buy, I mean, the food that I get, I believe is good food. I don't think like the canned fish isn't organic. But also one thing that I had to acknowledge, and I decided to just write a post, it's just on social media, that was like 100% transparent, because I'm in a position to get a lot of stuff for free or cheap because of Keep the Tail Wagging. So I have agreements with brands where I either get things for free or I get, they have set up a discount for me so that I can get things at a discounted price. Also, because I am such a hoarder, I have stocked up on so many things in prior years that I don't have to buy stuff like coconut oil. I haven't bought coconut oil in ages because I one day ordered a whole case of it. And then the ladies of Cocoa Therapy also gifted me with a bunch of coconut oil and MCT oil when one of my dogs would develop cancer. I can't remember which one. And so I still have that on hand, and I don't use it all. I use coconut oil all the time for everything, but I still have plenty of it. And same thing with like poo bags, even though that's not what you feed your dogs, but like I have so many poo bags. And then one day Earth Buddy reached out to me to ask me if I wanted anything. And I was just like, I'd love some more poo bags. And they delivered. And
I love those poo bags.
I do too. I will not have to buy them for probably 2 or 3 years because I have so many. But those are the type of things that I, when it comes to supplementation, I don't need to buy many things. But I wanted to bring this up to give folks a tip, because not everyone can sit down, build up a website, and then magically get, 10 years in the raw feeding community of experience and of connections and stuff that I have. But a few things that you can do to save money is you can look for ads on Craigslist or post ads on Craigslist. So some people will post ads saying, hey, I have a bunch of meat, because they don't want to throw it away and they want to see if someone gets it. Someone once told me that if you live near a army base or some type of military base, I don't know how often this happens now, but because I don't know how often our soldiers are deployed. But if you have a soldier is being deployed, instead of throwing out everything in their freezer, I've known people that have gotten, like a year's worth of food because someone was being deployed and they were able to get everything that was in their freezer. So that's one thing that you can do. You can also connect with hunters and homesteaders. That's one of the things where it's like, how in the heck do you connect with hunters if no one in your personal life hunts? Well, there are groups on Facebook. And so you can start joining groups in your community and see. I mean, some of them may not let you in, but you can give it a try and just say, I'm here because, hey, I feed my dogs a raw food diet. So if any of you guys have extra, I'm happy to take it off your hands. Understand that there's going to be probably some raw feeders that beat you to the punch, but don't let that scare you away. But what happens here is if someone has too much meat and they've filled their freezer and they don't have anyone else to give it to, they'll call you. And if they're going to hunt and they still have last year's meat in their freezer and they need to clear it out, they'll call you. So I get a lot of free stuff that way as well. Same thing with homesteaders. 100, 200 years ago, well, I don't know about American culture, but cultures around the world ate the entire animal. Still today, there are cultures in different parts of the world that eat the entire animal.
Right.
Americans, not so much. And there are so many parts of the animal that we throw away. And that's the part that we want as raw feeders. So every time I meet someone who is a homesteader, I become friends with them and I just say, hey, do you eat the entire animal? And I actually have come across 2 families that, they find use for everything and they have dogs. So they give it to the dogs and stuff. So it's like, bummer. But you can get food from them as well. And, just make those connections.
And there might be Facebook groups for that too.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And then finally, my last tip is, and this is more for maybe treats and supplements, maybe even grooming products. When you're at an event, and I don't mean like a huge trade show event, but just like when we're going to conferences, to these events up next year, a lot of times, especially people who fly in to attend these events and have booths, they are not, after 1 or 2 days of socializing and talking. I mean, we show up and everything is up and beautiful and stuff, but what they have to do, staying up all night, setting up their booth, getting everything organized, dealing with this, by the time it's time to go and they're ready to pack up and leave, the last thing they feel like doing is packing up all of the stuff.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they're like, I don't even understand how that I had this all organized so perfectly. And sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes the vendors are willing to give you supplements either at a discounted price or for free. Now,
just so they don't have to bring it home.
They don't have to bring it home. For the folks who are give it to you for free, this is more for people who are like Erin and I. So Erin has 2 podcasts that she can talk about and promote. I have 2 podcasts and I have a blog. We both have social media, but we have a following. So we can actually basically pay them back with a review and talking about it. So that works out for them. So they may not be willing to give you something for free, but it doesn't hurt to like go up to them at the end of the event and say, are you interested in selling me anything at a discount?
Or do you have anything left that you're trying to get rid of?
That you're trying to get rid of. I'm happy to pay for it. And maybe they will knock it down for you so that you can, maybe set aside, I know we're paying for a flight, hotel, ticket to the event. Maybe set aside a couple $100 and you can come home with basically your year's worth of supplements. Or 6 months worth of supplements. Cause that's something that I do. Like for instance, at Super Zoo, on the last day of Super Zoo, everyone is cleaning up. I never ask for anything for free. And this is no knock. I know other people do. I know that I could, but I don't. And the reason why is because in our industry, we're mostly working with small businesses. And it is so expensive for them to go to these events and to do all of this stuff.
It's so expensive to have a booth even at Super Zoo.
Yeah, exactly. It's like $6,000, I think, just for the cheap booth.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Don't quote me on that, but I know it's crazy expensive. But they can't really afford to give away their products because, we all know how much these products cost. So I will go and ask to buy stuff. And a lot of times they will give you, because they have discounted, they call it show prices. So you're getting anywhere between 25 to 50% off. But I have had it where like if they have run out of something or anything, I've had people give me special discount codes where I was able to get something for 50% off. Easy Dog did that for me. And I was able to get I wanted a certain type of leash and I was able to get that from them for a really great price. So just don't be afraid to ask. I know that it can be uncomfortable. If you see me at an event and you want me to like walk around and you want to see how I do it, I'm more than happy to show you because I have no problem with it. I am used to doing it right now. It's also easier because I know a lot of these people. And so I feel comfortable walking up to Angela Ardolino and going, hey, horse CBD, because that crap is expensive.
I just got more from my vet.
Yep, it is awesome. I actually used it on New Year's Eve and it was really great. Because I only use it when the dogs really need it. And it came in really handy. So, but that was I just wanted to share that money saving tip because I know times are tight and, we can all use the same tips as we can, but please do not feel like you're a failure if you're not able to,
do all the things.
Exactly.
Make a car payment in dog food and stuff.
Exactly. It's just like we're all living in different places and we all have access to different things. But once, you start realizing these other new ways. I mean, when I first started feeding raw, I didn't know any of this, but you start becoming introduced to it. And even with what I spend, I actually know someone that only spends $50 a month and she has, I think, 6 dogs.
Oh my God.
And she feeds them raw. And she lives where I live. I mean, like in the same town. I mean, I know what she does is not something I'm willing to do. She's not doing anything bad or nefarious. She just feeds her dogs in a significantly different way than I feed my dogs. Her dogs are healthy and that's what works for them. But yeah, she spends on average about $50 a month. And I'm just like, and I'm sure she would think I'm absolutely bonkers for how much I spend. If I told her, she'd probably look at me like, you're insane. So don't compare yourself to other people. Just get ideas from other people and you'll get there. So that's all I wanted to say.
No, those are excellent tips. Thank you.
So that's all.
I've never been very good at figuring out how to save money because I'm like all convenience oriented most of the time.
Well, that's just it, is when you do convenience, you're paying for someone else to do things.
Yeah.
And I don't actually mind that because, spend a day like this weekend, spend a day making dog treats, and you sort of start. I've been thinking about Real Dog Box all weekend. And if I had, Turk's air dryers, a wall lined with air dryers that I could they could have had all my stuff done in no time. And I'm just like, wow, this is so nice. It's so nice. But I did learn some little tricks to get stuff done. Like I ran out of parchment paper. So I used a plastic bag because I needed something because my roller sticks to the meat. And instead of like putting powder on the roller, I just use a plastic bag and roll it that way instead of buying more parchment paper because it's like, I'm going through parchment paper like crazy. I will buy more, but just not right now. But, I've learned some little tricks to get it going, but oh my gosh. And I finished Monarch.
Oh,
yes. I thought I had already finished it. And I was just like, that ended weird. But it hadn't ended. So it ended great. So I think it's over. No, there's one more episode next Friday. And then that's the season finale. But that was pretty good. I still haven't finished Platonic. I took a break because I'm so into Apple TV that I'm watching everything. It's all starting to blend together. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to stop and then I'm going to finish each. So next I'm going to finish Platonic and then next I'm going to finish Shrinking. And then I'm going to start Ted Lasso. So yeah, I'm loving Apple TV.
I don't even think I've watched anything other than the Ravens game. I saw you.
Well, you have a dog that you're getting muddy with.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this year of 2024 is like going to be all about like the training and enrichment with her, like that's probably where a lot of my focus is going to be. And of course, still trying to get Neno 100% healthy.
Yeah. Well, how's he doing, by the way?
He's been stable for a while, but he still does get some nighttime reflux stuff going on. I'm never sure if I'm just sleeping through it sometimes. And so I'm maybe missing some episodes of it, or if it's just been general, better overall. I'm never 100% sure, but I'd say maybe 2 or 3 nights a week he like kind of struggles with it. And I still just haven't really found like what the exact trigger is, of why it's some days and not others. Sometimes I think it's dependent upon when he gets fed. Like if I have like a crazy night where I have to like run errands after work and then I'm late getting home and then he's getting dinner later, I do think that is worse for him. So I try to like give him dinner as early as possible. But it's not always that, because sometimes like on the weekends I'll give him dinner at 5 p.m. or something and he's still having issues, and then I'm like, okay. So it's been strange. And my vet has been so great to let us just try different things and give us different ideas of things to try. And we've made so much progress as to how bad it was last fall. Yeah. But we're still like committed to figuring this back out for him.
And how are he and Nessie doing?
Well, we're still just on this gate, crate, and rotate kind of system for right now. It's been a little bit of a bummer that they didn't like just hit it off. And I guess we're really realizing how fortunate we've been, certainly with Lucy and Kahlua back in the day, because we didn't know anything. We just threw them together and they were just like BFFs. And with Neno and Penny, especially because Neno was so much bigger than her, we took it a little slower, but at the end of the day, like they just always kind of got along and had, they weren't like BFFs, but they snuggled and, they had a good rapport and stuff. And, so it's been a whole other ball game with this girl. And I think a lot of it's going to be, her learning to just relax. Like that's one of our things that we're learning in the class is like this, like a relaxation cue. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's really just going to be like her learning to relax, and she's going to be in the house on leash and just having to chill out and have Neno nearby and, kind of treating everybody. I think she just, because he's so much older and, I think she just wants to play, and then like, he doesn't. And then I think she like thinks he's boring and, it's like, whatever, dude. And, so yeah, it's definitely been a slow go so far. And Tim gets really frustrated, and I just keep thinking, like 6 months from now, we're going to be like, it was a rough start, but we got there. And, this is the really, really slow meet that we, because they don't like fight or anything. Like we have the gate up. They don't snarf at each other or have a problem. It's just, she wants to just pounce on him and he doesn't want that. So it's, trying to navigate that. So anyway, it's been a slow go.
6 months that I had Apollo, he and Rodrigo would get into bloody fights. Ugh. I mean, I shouldn't say bloody, but blood would be drawn. It was horrible. I could not, I had to be careful about playing because they would both want to play. And Rodrigo, he is very like, this is my toy.
Yeah.
And he's not a dog that you can play tug. Like I can play tug of war with, but you could not play tug of war. Another dog could not play tug of war with Rodrigo. It immediately escalated into a fight. And like, I had to be careful. When I do treats, like, instead of like with these three guys, if I'm giving out treats, they just come and sit in front of me and I give them each treat. No, there's just no issue with my dogs right now. But when we had the first 6 months with Rodrigo and Apollo, it was a nightmare. I mean, it wasn't all the time. Most of the time it was fine, but there would be times when you would hear this low growl from Rodrigo and it's like, here we go. And it's like, what is he doing to you now? And it's like, he's breathing. I mean, it's just like so aggravating. So I'm glad that it's not at that level.
Yeah. I mean, I think they both have some resource guarding things. So I think when we do get to the point where they're going to be, in the same space together, it's like no toys are going to be allowed. Because we've already seen that sort of by accident where she was a little bit of a crate Houdini at first. Like she was busting herself out of the crate and she did that one time. And like Neno was playing with the toy and then she's running for the toy. And like, there was, nothing, it didn't escalate. Cause like I got in the middle of it and we, just, broke everybody apart. But it was like, oh, that would have really escalated if we hadn't like been right there when it happened. And, it was like, all right, there's, cause we're, like there's probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dog toys laying on the floor of this room right now because Neno will like grab them and then bring them all in here to like hoard them, and he just like sits on top of his pile of toys, and like it's very funny. Like he's like he must like slowly have been gathering like all the toys in the house over the weekend and just putting them all in this room where he hangs out with Tim in here most of the time. And yeah, so it's just very funny. And with her, like with certain toys, she gets like so wound up, like her rope, like she wants to, and it's like we have to take that just away and put it away. Like it's like she gets it on our terms kind of thing right now. It's not one that can just like hang out all the time and just grab whenever. So, it's been she's just a whole other ball game. And, I said to Tim, like, that this was my sign to, I've never been super great about like having the world's most well-trained dogs. And, this is my challenge with her is she's the dog that needs the training, that needs to be on point. And, it's time to level up in that area.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's so amazing. I'm very lucky with my crew right now. And I feel like I'm being given some grace after, losing dogs over the past few years. But, like Apollo will grab a toy because he's a retriever. So when he gets super excited, he runs and grabs a toy and brings it to me.
That was Penny. She would do that with shoes.
Yeah. And Bella is insane because if if Apollo and I are playing with a toy, Bella will want to play with the toy. And if Apollo grabs something, Bella will come, like, because I'll give Bella a toy and she's like, okay, this is mine, and she'll run. But then I'll give Apollo a toy and she's like, oh no, I want that one too. Before you know it, she's, similar to what you mentioned, she's laying on a bed with 6 toys all around her and not playing with any of them. She just has them.
Yes. Those Neno.
And her thing are balls. She discovered in our ball bin these Kong tennis balls that squeak, and they're huge. And so, and it's so funny because she'll just sit there, squeak, 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 squeak. I mean, Johan's not used to this, and I am, because I'm with the dogs all day, every day. He has a new work schedule where he's home Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So he's seeing a completely different dynamic in the house than what he sees on the weekend. And he's just like, this is what it's like here. And it's just like, because, the dogs alert when there's someone walking down the trail. They alert when someone delivers a package. They alert because a leaf blew by. The cat meowed. So they're going to alert to that. And then there's a period of time where everyone's sleeping. And then all of a sudden everyone gets riled up again. And it's just like, and they're going in and out of the house. And, and I have all these tricks where I'm like, oh, I think someone's here. Let's go outside and see who it is. And and they'll just run outside, and then they'll just run around in the yard by themselves, and they'll be fine. And it just, none of it bothers me. I just go by it. But Johan is just like, oh, wow. There's a lot happening here. How do you get work done? And it's just sort of like, yeah.
I know.
So yeah, life with dogs. Well, okay. Nice chat. How about we address this once? So if by chance you're listening to this podcast and you feed Purina, I'm not judging you, because I'm just shocked that you're listening to our podcast, and I'm like really impressed. Thank you, because it just goes to show that you have such a great open mind, and I appreciate that. If you are a member of the fresh food community, you may have seen all of the posts going on about Purina and dogs getting sick. And I'm not going to tell you not to feed Purina, because I have yet to see concrete evidence that there is an issue with Purina. I think that there are some dogs that are getting sick. It's not 100% clear why they're getting sick. However, there is a common denominator in some homes where the dogs that got sick were also being fed Purina. I did reach out to Purina and talk to them. They are aware that there are concerns, and they are investigating. There was one individual that had a dog get sick, and Purina covered their veterinarian costs. It is not clear if this is related to the other issues that people are discussing, because that report did not come with what was the diagnosis, what type of food, because Purina has a lot of brands out there. When did the symptoms come on? None of that information was shared, just that they had their vet bills paid. Basically, I have more questions than answers. I think that if you are concerned and you don't want to feed Purina, that's fine. There are plenty of amazing dog foods out there that you can switch to that will be within your budget. My best recommendation is to go to your local independent pet store, not the big box chains, but a local independent pet store, and talk to them about what you're looking for, what your dog needs, or cat, and choosing a different food. If you are concerned about your dog's health, like if your dog is showing any type of digestive issues, because that's one common denominator, is dogs had digestive issues, please call your veterinarian. I do not feel comfortable with the belief that we can't trust our veterinarians because they're being paid off by Purina. I don't believe that that's the case. I'm willing to concede that there could be some shady veterinarians out there. I mean, there are shady people in every industry, but I think on the whole, our veterinarians got into this business because of their love of animals. And I can't imagine that changing.
I guess I would worry more about closed-minded veterinarians who don't think it's possible that whatever symptom the dog is experiencing could possibly be related to the feeding of this food.
Yeah. And if you have a veterinarian that is like that, I bet you already know, because I bet you've tried to address other things with that veterinarian, because we tend to Google. And I've had one of those veterinarians where they will shut you down if you try to have a conversation about health or what you suspect is going on. If you have that type of veterinarian, then I can understand you not feeling comfortable going to them. If there is another veterinarian in your town that you can talk to, that you feel maybe more open-minded, you can find out about this by just through Google searches, look at their reviews. You can talk to your friends, see what other people are going to, what veterinarians they're going to. But I think it's important to find out, similar to the respiratory illness, find out what's going on in your area. Because the other thing is, I don't know, is if this is a recall issue, we don't know what lot it is. We don't know if it's all Purina products or just one type of food. We don't know anything. We just know that some people are raising the alarm that something's going wrong. But it's still very much, when you think about the thousands, the tens of thousands of dogs that eat Purina versus the number of dogs that got sick, which at last count, it was 200 and something dogs. And I believe 50, maybe 51 dogs, or dogs and cats maybe even died. So these numbers that I'm giving, they're dogs and cats, but it's mostly dogs. You know, when you compare that, it's very much a minor or minute number. Doesn't mean that it's not important. Doesn't mean we shouldn't pay attention. It's just that this may not be a situation where the food across the board is an issue. Maybe there are lots that went out that somehow something is wrong, but I literally don't know. So I figure just take the time and educate yourself in the best ways you know how, and do what you think is right. If you feel like, hey, I'm not going to feed this food, then don't feed the food. But please, I want to say, please don't feel obligated to switch to raw. I don't think people should switch to raw out of fear. I think people should switch to raw because they believe that this is the best diet for their dogs. I think that there are so many options out there, and I think every option out there is valid. I know that there are people, and I used to be one of them, that thought all kibble was terrible. I called it death nuggets. Yes, that's what I did. I mean, I did it as a joke, but I still did it. And so if kibble is what's in your budget and that's what you can do, please know that there are good kibble options out there that are affordable. And it's just, you need to start. This is a great time to start getting to know your local pet store and learning what you can do from that point and going forward. That's all I got to say.
So, Dr. Lori Kozier put something out today that I thought was just a good point about, anybody who's feeding really any dog food, but certainly any kind of, kibble type dog food, and you notice some sort of extreme change in your dog, regardless of whether it's Purina or any other brand, to contact the vet and to make sure that you're contacting the company if that seems appropriate, the FDA if that seems appropriate, because, so many of the ingredients that go into making Purina kibble go into making all the other brands too. So like when we had the problem with like the vitamin D thing, like that vitamin premix thing, it doesn't just get sold to one kibble company, it goes to like all the kibble companies. So there was multiple companies affected. And with like the melamine situation back in 2007, it affected so many different brands. So I guess, is it just a Purina thing? Because that would seem almost like strange. That it would almost seem like it would make more sense if it was all these different kibble brands, because they're all kind of using the same ingredients and getting the same bulk ingredients from everywhere. So I thought that was an interesting point. And the other thing too is just, so many of us who are in this fresh feeding community, like we're super passionate about that and about that choice for our dogs, and just always remembering that, not everybody's in the position to feed that way. And if people are having problems with their dog is sick, that's not necessarily the time for shaming, for telling them what they, should do or shouldn't do, and to just always bring compassion. We're all doing the best that we can for our pets. And I just always hope that compassion is part of the conversation for somebody who's dealing with a crisis like that. They don't necessarily have the bandwidth to change their whole paradigm of thinking, or the budget or anything else to do so. And so I guess that's something that I always hope, and I always appreciate, I guess, Kimberly and I, that you and I both are really passionate about meeting people where they're at and trying to keep any kind of like judgment or shame or negativity out of the conversation, because I don't think that gets you anywhere, and in fact can cause the opposite of what you want to happen.
Yeah, because I think we can unintentionally overwhelm someone.
Yeah.
And it's easier to shut down the source that's causing you stress than it is to buckle down and really learn, especially for there's the few people whose dogs have sadly been lost or are struggling right now. But the bulk of people who are just concerned, if their dog isn't actually sick, we can end up losing. Pushing them away, I should say.
Yeah, like they're crazy people, or
especially if they have veterinarians that are going to say, I mean, all of the information that's been shared has been based on social media posts. Take that to any scientist and say, even if I went to my doctor and said, there's a bunch of people on social media saying blank, they're going to be like, okay, so we need you to stop diagnosing yourself on social media. So it's going to be very easy I'm not willing to dismiss it. I'm not willing to embrace it. I think that it's good that people are talking. It's good that people are being made aware. But I think that, we should just basically wait and see. And everyone should make a choice that is right for their dog and be respected for it. That's all. That was actually handled very well. Well done, Erin. I was a little nervous about that.
That's all I got.
Okay. Well, it was great. It was wonderful talking to you.
Always a pleasure. Until next week, guys.
Bye, guys.